Hi, this is Keith McLachlan. I'm with Dental Team Finder. I'm the president and co-founder. And in this episode, in this podcast, you're going to be hearing from Dean and I about the top 3 strategies you can do for your practice in 2022 for hiring and finding great talent.
OrthoMarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello, everybody in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman, president of Ortho Marketing, and we are back with another podcast for you. So it's now early 2022. Calendar's changed. Everybody's optimistic. It's going to be a great year this year after the last crazy few years we've had. So we're going to talk a little bit about the biggest point that every practice that I work with has, and that is hiring, staff, human resources issues. And I'm really excited to have a guest with us to talk about this, expert in the industry who understands the issues that you're having, will help be able to guide you through the right strategies. And we're going to talk about 3 strategies for hiring in 2022. And I'm very happy to have Keith McLachlan with us. Keith is the president and co-founder of a company called Dental Team Finder. And we're here to just kind of make your life a little bit easier. So, Keith, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dean. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, Keith, tell us a little bit about Dental Team Finder. What is it that you guys do, and what do you do for practices?
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. So Dental Team Finder, we're a niche talent acquisition firm. And when I say niche, it's because we work exclusively in dentistry. We serve clients that are practice owners with associate needs, specialist needs. We also help serve our clients that are manufacturers in the dental and orthodontic sector, with sales and executive roles, as well as some integration and training roles. So we help those individuals as well, but we do serve exclusively the dental industry. We don't do broader healthcare or medical or other healthcare verticals.
Got it. It's funny when I talk to my clients, tell me your number one pain, number one issue, and it's staff, always across the board. And in my eyes, staff is the biggest hole in marketing because staff is the one who has to answer the phone or respond to the forms being filled out or respond back to people, and there's not enough staff to go around,
Yes.
or you have the right people. So now we're in 2022, and people might be hiring and looking into that. So let's talk a few strategies of what practice should be doing or looking at for this year to alleviate that pain, because I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably are saying, "Oh boy, I got to hire somebody else. I need a new TC, or I need a new office manager, or I need a new treatment coordinator, whatever it is." So let's jump right in there. So what's the first strategy that you suggest somebody would embrace, implement, look at for if they're when they start looking through the hiring process?
Absolutely. So you said it best, Dean. Everybody you ask is going to have a pain point somewhere along the line. Either they have an opening they can't fill, or they have a position they can't retain, they can't keep somebody in. So I would say the number one strategy that I would employ is whatever process you're using. Do it swiftly. And I'm not saying hire the wrong people. I'm just simply saying make it expedient. If you have 3 steps, a phone screen, a live interview, 2 live interviews, an in-office interview, whatever your process is, nail that down and make it run quickly. I see the biggest struggle on the practice side of things when it's an owner doctor and or an office manager trying to do all of these operational things. That's when I see the biggest struggles arise, because they've got jobs to do. The doctor has dentistry to perform, and that brings revenue to the practice. The office manager has people leadership responsibilities and all that goes with that. So I would say create a process for streamlining not just your hiring or your interviewing, but your hiring and onboarding as well. So create that system and process, and it doesn't take forever. Just takes a few minutes to jot down what each of those processes look like.
And when you say make it quicker, what do you mean by that? Like hire the first person you speak to. When you say make it quicker, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, no. So yeah, I want to make sure I distinguish that. I'm not saying hire anybody that has a pulse. I'm saying make sure if you've got a candidate that you feel is a strong candidate, don't make them wait for step 2 and step 3. Make sure that those step 2 and step 3s are scheduled just as soon as the interview's over, so that there's no downtime. In that downtime, we see candidates, especially candidates that are actively looking, they will accept another job opportunity, right? And likely you're not the only. I wouldn't take on the position that you're the only office or only company that they're interviewing for. In fact, they may be interviewing for a handful of other opportunities, and the first one with an offer wins. Again, not to hire the worst person first, but hire a good person quickly.
Got it. Typically, what would you say would be a ideal hiring process? Okay, but so obviously you get their resume, you look at it, you see that they're a good match. So then I guess do you schedule
Hmm.
in person? Do you schedule a Zoom?
Yeah.
What is the best way to do it?
Yeah.
And then ideally, what is how many steps are there, and what do you suggest? Goes from step A to step Z, step 1 to step 4. What
Yeah.
ideally what is trending, or what should we be looking at for 2022?
Absolutely. If I'm thinking of just a practice setting, I would say the first step, as soon as you're introduced to that candidate, be it through an application, say you have a job listing on a job board and you get an applicant, you feel like the candidate looks good on paper, reach out immediately to schedule a phone or a Zoom, a virtual interview. And then once that's done, step 2 would be, hey, we're going to have a live interview with the doctor, and we're going to give you a tour of the office so you can see what we do here, see if you could see yourself working here. And then at step 2, it really depends on the complexity of the role. If it's a dental assistant or a scheduling coordinator, those are can usually be done in a couple of steps. But if it's an associate doctor, they may want to take a step 3 and have the doctors go out to dinner with spouses. I've seen all types of processes. I even see some that do personality testing and Wonderlic. So just so they know the potential of the person. So I'm not saying that the number of steps is important as doing that quickly, going through the steps quickly. I would caution to do more than 4 steps, because that can draw out the time a little bit.
Got it. Now let's take a step back and say you're hiring for an orthodontist, a treatment coordinator, or a a staffing person. Um, would you say, because I had a talk with the client this morning about this, as a treatment coordinator is almost like a salesperson for an orthodontic office. Um, would would it be smart to find somebody with experience in the orthodontic world and then train them how to be a salesperson, or find somebody who's a salesperson and then train them in the orthodontic world? Because what's more important? Somebody that at the end of the day, is it the job? Is it the overall functionality of the industry, or is it the job itself? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. Many times I see, in the case of orthodontic offices, TCs are typically promoted from other positions in the office. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because you have people that have really good communication skills that are working in other roles. They're an assistant, or they're a scheduling coordinator. They have really good communications, but they weren't even given formal sales training. My recommendation would be to find a great retail salesperson, somebody that's selling B2C, or business to consumer,
Right.
that is effective in selling to an end user, that understands sales, because they don't need to be an expert in orthodontics. The doctor is the expert. They just need to facilitate the doctor's opinion into getting that patient into treatment. So I would say a B2C retail type salesperson would be an ideal fit for a treatment coordinator role.
So you got to think out of the box. It's important to do so, guys. If you're
Absolutely.
looking for somebody that has that experience, at the same time, do you need to like break old habits, or do you want to teach them the right way, your way from the beginning?
Right.
So that's something to look at.
Exactly.
Now, next, another strategy to look at 2022. Obviously, everything is online now, and from that standpoint, what's the best way to actually find a quality candidate? Is it just posting a job up in Indeed? Is it do you want to put out on Facebook that you're looking to hire somebody? Part of the community. What's the best way to at least build up your pool of quality candidates to find the right person?
Yeah, that's probably the $20,000 question, Dean, because I've heard even prior to the pandemic the struggle of, okay, well, I'm getting plenty of candidates that are not the right candidates, or the conversely, it was I'm not getting any candidates interested for my role. So this is something that's location dependent. I mean, the higher density markets don't struggle as much with candidates. You struggle more with getting the right candidates. In more rural areas, the struggle is to get any candidates. So I mean, it's just our own struggle here at Dental Team Finder is, do we push this out on social media more, or do we just start making phone calls to our network, right? So we try to answer the same question, and it's usually a little bit of everything working together as opposed to just one thing. But if somebody said, "Hey, Keith, what do you recommend in helping me fill this role?" I would say always seek out professional help. And I don't know what the budget is for that, but that offices allocate. But I would say at least seek some professional help, somebody who can take care of the first few interview steps, do a phone screen, background check, make sure there's a skills fit. And then they won't give you the most number of candidates, but they will absolutely give you the most qualified candidates, right? It just depends on what your goal is when you want candidates. Would you like fewer very qualified candidates, or do you want just anybody that can complete an application, right?
When you're saying reach out to experienced
Yeah.
professional, what does that mean? Who are you
Okay.
reaching out to?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying not to be too leading there, but and self-serving. But we were, get there are some dental exclusive job boards out there. There are recruiters like us, full service recruiters like Dental Team Finder, that and I'm not saying we'll absolutely have the answer, but we can do our research in the area. And find out if it's a role that can be filled by us. But we can at least give you some pointers on what options to seek out for your area. So again, it's worth the investment of your time to seek out professional help.
Sure. Now, if you're finding candidates, I've had a lot of people work in my industry, especially in social media. We've gone through different people, and somebody they work for me for a month or two, and then move on. And I see that them come, they come for a resume, or they look for a reference 6 months later, and then another 6 months later, next 6 months later, they're jumping around. So obviously, you want to find somebody for the long term. And I've got clients that have people working with them for 20, 30, 40 years in the in their staff. So obviously you have to have the right feel for the person when they come aboard, especially depending upon what the job is. But it seems like we're in such a technological world right now. Is somebody that is looking for a job that's a little bit older might not be the right person, or do you want somebody experienced with that and you can teach them? Old dogs could easily be taught new tricks, or is it better to have somebody that has had this in their hand from the second they were born?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a fan of hiring for culture and training for skills. So if that means somebody that fits with the culture of your practice, has the right attitude, represents your practice well, and you can teach them everything about the job itself. If you have a favorite barista at Starbucks, that's a good person, or a shoe salesperson. The list goes on and on. But you can hire for potential and train for skills. And that's not to say that it depends on what types of skills you need. Sometimes you have a CAD CAM office that does really particular lab work. They may need a specialized person for that role. So you can't just hire somebody off at Starbucks for that. But it really just depends upon the technical skills needed day one, right?
What advice would you give somebody to get their team or staff on board? People see that dentists make doing very well, driving a nice car, has their home. Like I don't need to work hard for this, blah 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 blah, and I guess getting by it. And so many of our clients have the issue of the staff won't they won't jump, they won't change, they won't adapt, they won't get on board. From our side, it's very important to have internal marketing in place. And you've got a captive audience for 10, 15, 20 minutes when somebody's in the office. What are you getting from them? And we have to train the staff on how to ask for a review and how to ask for a referral and how to ask to be active on social media. Because I would say, why would anybody in the right mind follow a dentist on Instagram? They have to give a reason to do so. So by then, you have the staff is the ones that have to get involved and do that. And they will complain or not do it. So what do you suggest to get everybody on board? Did you put a financial carrot there and you incentivize them with rewards, with money, or what? Because we have a very difficult time getting people on board.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I mean, monetary incentives work for some people, but I'm a firm believer that that people, generally speaking, want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So typically, let's just again talk about the typical practice owner. If they haven't cast a large enough vision, right, for the practice, and then maybe modeled those behaviors that they want their team to do, that's where there's going to be a struggle getting compliance with certain behaviors, right? The review example is a good one because I've seen that one come up time and time again. I just can't get them to ask for it. Well, I always ask, when's the last time they saw you ask for a review? Oh, well, I don't. Why not? You talk to patients. Why can't you ask for a review? So it's kind of, I don't know, maybe for lack of a better term, it's like children, right? Children pay attention to half of what you say and all of what you do, right? They're big on modeling, right? So it's part of that. Hey, here's the reason why we ask for reviews. We ask for reviews because other patients out there will see that and they will come engage with us. And if we all do better, we all have a monetary incentive to do so. Right. So you have to create what they call the WIFM, right? What's in it for me? Yep. Why does this benefit me?
That's my favorite radio channel. I tell everybody WIIFM.
Right.
Exactly. And what's in it for me is what's in it for for the patient side, not you. Exactly. Right. So you have to do that. So great idea there. And one last question: how do you determine what to pay somebody? Because as an office manager or whatever, or an associate, it could be a $10, $20, $50, $100,000 difference between one end of the spectrum and the other. Absolutely. Obviously, you want to be competitive, but at the same time, if you're in a competitive market, as a potential employee, I'm sure is going to try to get the most money they can.
Yes.
So how do you determine, because this is not income producing potentially, it's just support.
Right.
So how do you determine that the value of that position? Is it just market research and whatever it is? So how do you somebody figure that out?
Great question, Dean. So every market has its sort of rates, right? Its range of what is an acceptable rate for the given position. So I would say, and this is listen, a lot of my wisdom is regurgitated as opposed to original. So I actually read the book No Rules Rules, which is the story of Netflix and how they do their management philosophy. And they basically say that on compensation is okay. So if your average rate for this position is $15 an hour, we're going to pay you $18 an hour because we believe you're going to deliver better than $18, better than $15 an hour. So we're going to go ahead and pay it forward. We're going to pay you 18, but in return, we're going to expect you to do more than average. What do you think about that? And so it's a way of saying, I believe in you, which people love to hear that, right? I believe in you and I believe that you can do better than average. And, if they don't, then obviously that's a different conversation. But generally speaking, that being willing to pay more than market rate, it's a strong statement up front. And I'm not necessarily a fan of overpaying. I'm just saying initially, if somebody wants $15 an hour, say, we'll do more than that. But here's what we expect in return.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's great. Two more questions, Keith. What's one bit of advice that somebody could do right now if they're thinking of hiring somebody that they could do on their own tonight? Okay, so they're if they realize that they need to either replace somebody or somebody quit, or they just realize there's a thing opportunity. What's one bit of advice they can do right now after this amazing podcast? They can then go on the computer and type in blah, 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 or call somebody or whatever it is. So what's one bit of advice that somebody could do right now in order to sleep at night, because realizing they'll be able to position fill out?
Absolutely. So here's what I would recommend. Obviously, it's a great question, but if somebody asked me what's one thing I could do right now, I would say get together with your team, and I would put out an incentive to your team to find the person, to at least candidates that they think would be a good fit. Because the golden rule is people want to work with others. If they're working at a good thing, they want others to experience that good thing with them, and they will usually select the best people from their friend groups to join them. Right. So I'd say go put out an incentive to your team, make it compelling, not $100, make it 500, 1,000, 1,500, say, hey, if we get this person hired, not just for the candidate, but if your person gets hired, we will gladly pay you this money. Because again, that's the best referral you're going to get. Somebody who is immediately working for the office.
Great. Excellent. Yeah. All right. So I have two other questions for you. Completely off topic now. So you have the ability to put up a billboard in Times Square tomorrow. 10 million people are going to see it. What's it going to say? It doesn't have to be about business or work. It just could be a billboard that 10 million people are going to see tomorrow. What words of wisdom, advice, quote, whatever do you want 10 million people to see tomorrow?
Oh, wow. That you did put me on the spot with that one. But I'm a fan of Ted Lasso, and on one of his episodes, I think it was episode 10 of season 1, but I'm getting very specific, but he had a quote by Walt Whitman that said, "Be curious, not judgmental."
His quotes are incredible. Every week is another great quote or something so obscure. I like to do tangents. If you ever watch Billions, the same thing about Billions. They always have these crazy, sports quotes or music quotes or whatever it is that have nothing to do with it. So that's a great quote. That's love that one.
I love it too.
And lastly, so now you have the ability to go out to lunch tomorrow, and you're going to invite two people. Anybody in history or even a fictional character. Wow. What two people are you gonna hang out and have lunch with?
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I've thought about that because you think about who do you want at your table, kind of thing, right?
Ted Lasso would be, but I'd love to hang out with Ted that's a fictional character.
I love Ted Lasso.
Because he just makes you smile. It just feels good. It's a feel good show, So I never thought of that, but I think I'd love to hang out with him. By the time I'm done with that, I want to hug everybody,
Absolutely. Well, I'm a huge John Maxwell fan. I think the guy just oozes wisdom, and so he would definitely be one of them. And I don't know why, but I want Justin Timberlake at my
okay.
All right. It's just a lot of fun. You see him with Jimmy Kimmel, and man, he just looks like
he's fun. Yeah, I was just down in Nashville, and he opened up a place down there, and we went into his place, and it was just oozed with excitement. So it was a lot of fun. Well, Keith, thanks so much. This was great. Hopefully you guys got great information out of this. And if somebody wants to learn more about how you can help them out, what's the best way for somebody to learn more about about you and things you can do for their practice or organization?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I would say that the easiest way to get in contact with us, we have a website. It's pretty easy. It's dentalteamfinder.com. Info at Dental Team Finder is a good email address for us. You can find our contact information on the bottom of the website. So yes, we would love to hear from you. Even again, many times we field questions that don't directly result in us helping the clients, but we help try to steer them in the right direction based on what their needs are. So certainly happy to do that.
Great. So yeah, buddy, if you are having this painting, you're trying to find the right people, speak to a professional. Keith, he's doing this for a long time. They know what they're doing. Highly recommend that, and just ideas. He's follow him on social media. They're a great company, and they've got some good stuff. Absolutely. So everybody out there, thanks so much for listening. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank
everybody,
you.
Be safe, be happy, keep smiling. And once again, as the great Jerry Garcia once said, nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. All right, be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, team.
OrthoMarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.